You're into art? What's your style?
What's your style?
And what is your art style? Can I recognize it?
What is your
art
style? I often get reminded how important it is to develop your own style as an artist. A good artist is recognizable by their own unique style. It makes your work identifiable, you create a personal signature, and that helps with buying an audience and even sales. But how important is it really to have your own style? That's what I want to talk with you about while working on my own style, if you know what I mean. When I started painting, I had a very clear style. I made large portraits with acrylics, drenched in layers of paint splatters. That work fit exactly how I felt at the time. Not only the results, but the process itself felt right. I would start with a portrait, often with an emotion like sadness, anger or fear. I would tape off parts and then the real work began. Throwing paint. And it was so satisfying to do. I did it full with sadness and anger, blasting loud music as I worked. At some point I had enough paintings for an exhibition. And with that exhibition I sold 5 pieces. I even got my first commission. It felt like I had struck gold and of course I wanted more of that. But just when I thought I had mastered my style, I immediately felt like I learned myself a trick and I was repeating it over and over. The paint that I had thrown passionately and the urging that I felt to express these emotions, I didn't feel it anymore. I guess I already expressed those feelings. Despite how successful and full of potential it was, I was bored and I didn't want to create new work. I tried, but I barely finished any paintings. And the paintings that I did complete felt forced. In my eyes, I already peaked with the first painting that I made that way. After that, it just went downhill. At least, that's how it felt for me. And here lies my issue with having your own style. Every time when I thought I had developed something unique, I lost interest. My brain isn't interested in creating something over and over again, because that's not creative. It's productive, but it's not creative. Speaking of creativity versus productivity, guess what happened first thing when I started painting my denim jacket? Yes, I'm spilling the entire pot of paint all over it. Fantastic. So at this point I have 2 choices. Get a new creative design to get over the stain I created, or take the productivity route and just get a new jacket. I went with the latter. Don't worry though, I'm not tossing the first jacket out. A creative solution will come in time, but for now I'm choosing the productive one and this is my new canvas. Back to my story. Fed up with my own work, I needed to seek some new inspiration. I want to move away from this hard plastic look, to go in a completely different direction. To find out what I really want to create, I needed to make some deliberate decisions. I want to improve my knowledge about the anatomy of the face, so portrait would still be my subject. But I also felt the need to work smaller, more portable, just being able to go out with a sketchbook or sit comfortably at my desk. I choose to work with watercolors. And it worked because I was interested in making art again, exploring new materials, learning new skills. But even with this new style, I sometimes noticed I was repeating a trick. But now I knew what to do, so when that happened, I switched my materials and my approach. Like these series where I try out a new style for a long period of time. This always leads to new insights. Working with markers learned me a lot about color fields. Using pencils helped me with depth and value, and cross-hatching gave me the confidence to sometimes start without a sketch. Even though I keep returning to watercolor, I carry these insights with me. For this project, I need to switch back to acrylics, because watercolor isn't exactly known for staying well on denim. Still, I hope to retain that watercolor feel. That's why I made an extra reference. Normally I would paint directly from my reference, like a photo, to the canvas, but this time I made a middle reference, so from photo to a drawing to the painting. You might be thinking, what a shame, you used to have your own art style and you just throw it all away, start over. You could have been the next Jackson Pollock by now. No worries, even the greatest artists went through various of styles. Think for instance of Pollock. Many know him for his famous drip paintings, but before that he made completely different work. And Mondrian, whom we recognize from his abstract blocks, also made these beautiful paintings. Many artists feel the need to keep experimenting and reinventing themselves. They don't want to be stuck in one style because that can limit their creativity. By constantly renewing themselves, they keep challenging themselves and grow as an artist. So I'm a big advocate of experimenting with styles. I love observing the work of others and getting inspired by them. Of course, I need to mention that you should be careful not to copy someone else's work. Whether it's a photo for reference or illustration, do not replicate something one-to-one. Sure, it's a good exercise and a unique way to get an insight into how someone else sees and creates. But then go back and try to create your own art. Let go of what doesn't fit you and hold on to what does. That's how you develop little by little your own style. You can draw inspiration by images, color, form, or even material choices and techniques. I personally like to listen to podcasts about theater, where comedians and other makers tell about their work. Although their work has nothing to do with my paintings, their process inspires me a lot. I learn a lot how to approach new piece, reflect and get better. And of course how to express myself. So where am I now with my own style? Well, over time I started to realize the value of my own reference material. Before I would search online for images to draw from. Interesting faces, interesting animals, beautiful pictures with great lighting. But well, they're not always royalty free to use. And most of all, it doesn't say that much about me as a creator. Sure, it would be very cool to draw a big tiger on the back of my jacket, but it wouldn't be an original me or truly my style. Looking back at my most recent work, I can see that love for green, nature and water showing up more and more. It wasn't something that I consciously thought about. I didn't decide that everything that I create has to be water related, but I guess the water is the place where I get very inspired. I love to go out with my sub and I always take my camera with me. From the water you get a unique perspective on nature, especially on birds. That's why for my jacket I dived into my own archive. If my art style needs to be close to me, so should my subject. I could pretend like I'm really cool with a tiger on my back, something that symbolizes strength and courage. But if I'm honest, that's not who I am. What really makes me happy and excited is ducks. That just feels more real to me and closer to my world. Now you might think, well, sure, experimenting with different styles is important, but having your own style is important too, right? Yes, of course. If you are working towards an exhibition, it's important to see that exhibition has some kind of coherence, tells a story. In style, in form, in design. I would never combine my different paintings in one exhibition, simply because they tell different stories and would get in each other's way, weakening the overall message. Also, if you are trying to build a brand, it's important to stick with one style. Take my cards, for example. There's a very clear theme here. Plus, I think much more about what sells, what fun puns are, but also what you would want to send to someone. Something you would wish for someone. That's not inspiration that comes while I'm on my subboard, but rather when I'm with friends, just joking around. It's hardly about me. Sure, I make conscious choices, like ensuring the cards aren't gender specific, so they can be sent to anyone. This might be a big personal preference, but you could also see it as a commercial choice. Especially when building brand, it's good to make these kind of decisions and stick to one style. Of course, the brand can expand with more products, like magnets, calendars or notebooks, but the type of illustration will always be in that one style. In short, well, having your own style can lead to more success and productivity. It can also result in boredom and lack of inspiration. As I've discovered in my own journey, clinging to one style can be limiting and suppress creative growth. Style isn't static, it's a reflection of where you stand as a creator. By continuing to experiment and explore new techniques and materials, you keep challenging and evolving as an artist. At the end, it's not about finding a style, it's about continue to discover what inspires you. So do you want to get more inspired? Check out this video, or maybe this video over here, and I will see you at the next one.